This is the CBC Morning Report for Monday, April 24th. I'm Tisha Hines. In our top story, the National School Nutrition Policy comes into effect when school reopens tomorrow. The policy, laid out by the Ministry of Education, seeks to ensure that the nation's children can become healthier going forward by cutting back on the sugars and salts and other unhealthy foods which they may be using while at school. The school meal service will also be complying with the policy. To talk about what it means for them and their position on this is Dr. Kia Lewis, a general practitioner and chairperson of the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. Good morning, Dr. Lewis.
Hi, good morning, Tisha. Thanks for having me on.
Wonderful to have you with us this morning. Now, the policy becomes effective tomorrow. I'm sure the coalition is very happy about that. But we know a number of vendors and canteen operators will be directly impacted. Does the coalition believe they had time enough to find healthier options?
Well, I wouldn't want to speak to whether they had time enough because I think that that is a subjective thing. People might feel differently. And the reality is that change is difficult and sometimes people are never quite ready for a change. You just have to jump into it. What I will say, though, is that there's been a lot of preparation. So from the launch, February the 15th this year, we would have had sensitization workshops with the vendors and concessionaires. They would have been updated as to what will be allowed this school term. Those sensitization workshops included, the reasons behind what we are doing, as well as practical how they can switch out and make healthier options available for the children. And there was more than one workshop held for canteen concessionaires. In fact, Heart and Stroke Foundation Barbados and the Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition, we've been doing workshops like these probably since 2019, 2020. So it's just a matter of collaborating with the Ministry of Education this time around to expand the scope of these workshops. So I will say that while people might have various opinions on whether there was enough time, there was definitely a lot of preparation put in to helping the vendors get ready for this particular point in time.
With that said, what level of compliance are you expecting or do you think is likely, given that you have conducted these multiple surveys and you have taken in hand the training, so to speak, of the vendors and canteen operators and so on?
I would say that's yet to be seen. I think that from the feedback we have gotten, many of them are absolutely willing. In fact, over the weekend, persons were sending products to us to assess to see if they would meet the criteria. And that was really, really encouraging for us. So the effort has been great. The conversation has been good as well. I was told at the vendors and canteen concessionaire workshops, they actually began discussing, how they can do things differently. There are vendors that were ahead of the curve who were, and canteen concessionaires especially, who were offering healthier alternatives from before the launch. And so they were able to share, how they made the changes and how the children would have adapted. So I think that they have received it pretty well. Of course, there will be fears out there as it relates to the children will respond and whether they will buy. But I think by and large, they want to do the right thing and they're making the effort. And remember, Tisha, this is not just the canteen concessionaires or the vendors, but we have other stakeholders. There are the principals, the teachers, the parents, the students. And we have been doing sensitizations with all of these groups. Of course, at different points in time, the school meals workers as well would have received sensitization information. They would have had a workshop, and that was well attended and well received. So all around, we've been working to get all the different partners involved in this process and to help to ease with the transition.
Ultimately, what are you hoping for? I know generally, it's easy to say that we want the children to eat healthier, but ultimately, what are we working toward?
Ultimately, we want to create a safe environment for our children. I think that people don't recognize this is an issue of safety. We are constantly exposing our children to an environment where they are likely to develop, and we are seeing it already with the high rates of childhood obesity and early onset chronic diseases, where they're likely to develop these diseases from young and become ill. So what do we want to see? We want to see them making healthier choices. We want to see that facilitated. We want to see them, being more active within the school environment. And we want to see a reduction in the amount of childhood obesity in this nation, as well as a reduction in the burden of NCDs in this nation long term. So we have short-term goals. We have long-term goals. We know it's going to take a whole of society approach, because we will need support from parents and teachers, manufacturers, distributors, in order to make this policy a success. But I believe strongly that we have come this far, and we've seen the evidence across the world as to how these policies have helped. And I believe that the same thing can happen in Barbados. We can see serious change in the direction for the children who are the future of our nation.
I know that you mentioned that you've already conducted some of these training and sensitization sessions with parents and teachers and head teachers and other stakeholders in the industry. Will there be a move to do it on a more widespread basis as we move into the policy and as we get further into the initiative?
Absolutely. In fact, the Ministry of Education has already started that move. We've been to several schools, and there's a planned school tour. So that's already started. Like I said, it's going to continue into term 3, as long as we need to do it. And I believe that because this is a process, it's a gradual process. So yes, there are things that are starting right away, but then there are things that are going to be phased in and implemented as we meet, problems or difficulties along the way. Those will be addressed. I just want to offer, a little bit of comfort to people who might feel like, oh, this is so brash and it's so sudden and we don't feel prepared. There are many things in life that we don't feel prepared for. In fact, if we always waited till we felt perfectly prepared, we probably wouldn't do a lot of things. That said, there's been good preparation going into this process, and as we move through it, we are going to be looking for ways to improve it. We are going to be listening to the feedback of those on the ground and trying to address those difficulties. But what we can't do is backpedal, because the situation is too urgent. Our children are really relying on us to make good decisions for them now to secure a healthy future for them ahead.
Absolutely. And I know with these good decisions, usually when people have resources to go to, it's a whole lot easier than trying to make decisions on their own, because obviously you will want that to translate what they're eating at school to what they're eating in the homes and so on. So what about the resources that are available for parents, students, and so on to go to be able to garner this information?
I'm really glad you asked that, because Heart and Stroke Foundation Barbados, the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition, we've been putting resources out there on Heart and Stroke Foundation Barbados on their Facebook and Instagram page. For example, the alternative snacks and beverage list. Most parents would have gotten it through the PTAs by now. I know there is a national PTA meeting held, but for those who have not seen it, it is available on our social media pages. We've always had series on healthier alternatives for children, where we had nutritionists and doctors and different parts doing recipes. And so all of these things are available on the Heart and Stroke Foundation Barbados website. They're available on Heart and Stroke Foundation Barbados at Facebook, as well as HSFB on Instagram. Persons can go and view these things. And I believe that Ministry of Education is also in their own way making resources available for parents and teachers and all stakeholders.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Chairperson of the Barbados Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. I certainly am looking forward to how we will be able to take this in hand and walk with you as a partner as we continue to share.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. All right, well, coming up here on the morning report, countries begin evacuating their nationals from war-torn Sudan.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The armed forces of the United States and the United Kingdom have evacuated embassy staff from Sudan, while other nations are rushing to get their citizens to safety as rival military factions battle in the capital, Khartoum. The eruption of fighting 8 days ago between the Army and Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group has triggered a humanitarian crisis, killed 420 people, and trapped millions of Sudanese without access to basic services.
Been fleeing the violence in the last few days. These are pictures of a convoy heading to Port Sudan, the city in the east used by foreign missions to evacuate personnel. France, the UK and the US are among the latest countries to pull out their embassy staff.
We have taken advantage of a temporary lull in the violence that we're seeing in Sudan. But we remain absolutely committed to support British nationals in Sudan. We will do so in close coordination with our international partners. But the best thing that we can do to support British nationals, and indeed everyone in Sudan, is push the generals involved in this conflict to bring it to an end, and that will remain the priority of our diplomatic focus in the region.
Rahila Mohammed reports on how those unable to flee the conflict are coping now.
People in Khartoum are living in the middle of a war zone. What was once a bustling market is now piles of rubble. Buildings and homes are in ruins.
This bullet was fired here near my house here in Khartoum Bahri. We are suffering of lack of food, lack of electricity, lack of water. We do not have electricity for 3 days now, and also we do not have access to water.
People say relatives are missing, but they can't go out and search for them as they're too scared to leave the house. Doctors have described the situation as catastrophic.
The hospital is still operational, but not to the full capacity due to the shortage of medical equipment, let alone difficulty the medical staff face to get to work.
The fighting in the capital is centered around the presidential palace and the army headquarters. This video appears to show members of the paramilitary rapid support forces with their commander, General Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, in the area. But it's not clear when it was filmed. Across the Nile River in the city of Omdurman, some people are burying their dead. This home was hit by shelling while the family was asleep.
I have burns on my body and I couldn't stand up, but God helped me. Many shells came into my room and I collected them. They hit the room and came through the window. They broke the glass. I was lying in bed, and when I stood up, I fell to the ground.
In Dardouk, north of Khartoum, there are pockets of resistance. Some people took to the streets in protest on Saturday, calling for an end to the violence. Analysts say Sudan's long-awaited transition to civilian rule, a prospect that seemed imminent a few weeks ago, is moving further out of reach. For as long as General Daglo and Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan refuse to back down.
One of them needs to win so that he could claim power. This is how they see it from both ends. And ultimately, they have no problem, in my opinion, sacrificing whatever it takes, like compromising or jeopardizing the security of the whole country.
And all the while, Sudanese live in fear as more of their country is destroyed in a battle for power. It's time now for us to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados.
It's Regional Health Awareness Week, celebrated every year during the last week of April to promote equity and access to vaccinations. Dr. Clyde Cave will be in, and Juliet Serrano, who will be speaking to us about Vaccination Week in the Americas. Also, we're talking Bajan Cannabis Magazine with Valencia Gittins Carter, the Customer Liaison Officer with the Barbados Medicinal Cannabis Licensing Authority, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture. Plus, today in our next chapter, we are going to be talking with a highly successful author, Natalie Harvey. She will be in. One of your very favorite segments is coming up today as well, Life, Love and Hope with Dr. Denise Charles. Today we're looking at what women really want when they talk about security in relationships. Plus, we're talking to the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Dr. Kenneth Connell will be here, and Imam Beckles as well, to talk about the role and impact of outreach by the Faculty of Medical Sciences here at UWI Cave Hill. And we close things up by telling you all about the CBC Mornin Barbados Proud Moments for Moms promotion. That's all coming up on Mornin Barbados. But more news, sports, and weather coming up after this break.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English.
The new Transit Authority Amendment Act will be laid in Parliament tomorrow. Word of this from Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Works and Water Resources, Santia Bradshaw, at the retirement function for Paul Frank, who retired from the Alliance Owners of Public Transport after 41 years. The Deputy Prime Minister says she will be seeking his input as government moves forward with regulations to guide public transport and that sector.
Regrettable that it has taken this long to be able to get us to this point, but I am certainly very pleased that we are here today and we are in a position that on Tuesday of this week I will be able to lead the debate in relation to the Transport Authority Amendment Act, which will also then have the passage of the regulations which will follow, and to begin with the associations a series of discussions as to the communication with the public as to how we roll out this particular campaign.
The Transport Minister says it is regrettable that it has taken so long for the regulation to reach this stage, but it is the forerunner to the establishment of a mass transit authority for Barbados.
The Cabinet of Barbados, after many years, but also many discussions with the associations, have now been able to settle on the regulations. And I want to thank the associations for the input, because I know that we could not have gotten to this point without the input of all of you. And I just want to say we really appreciate that we've been able to actually reach this moment. Why is this important? It is important because for many years, when the Transport Authority was established and the legislation was put in place to set up the Transport Authority, there were no regulations.
Barbados has inscribed 2 significant cultural elements of the UNESCO intangible listing. The announcement from Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantel Monroe-Knight, who was speaking at the launch of the National Intangible Heritage Committee Public Awareness Campaign last evening.
We will be inscribing road tennis and the Barbados landship on the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. And this is critical, and I don't know if people are not applauding for that. Please, thank you very much. Listen, we have much to share and to give to the world. As small as we are, we have much to share and to give. We are elevating road tennis and the landship to be inscribed because we understand the value that we have. Very often we have the things and we ourselves take them for granted. Yeah? But these are things that we have to be able, one, to claim ownership of, and that is very, very, very critical, because very often people will come and see the value of what we have and then claim it.
Countries in the Latin American and Caribbean region, like many others across the globe, are experiencing challenges that hinder their economic growth. Guyana, however, remains on track to record significant economic growth this year of 37.2%. The information is contained in a report from the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. More in this Newsroom Guyana report.
Though countries within the Latin American Caribbean region are experiencing persistent economic challenges, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, projects a 37.2% growth rate for Guyana this year. But this positive growth rate comes as all the subregions are expected to record lower economic growth this year compared to 2022. It was noted that South America will grow by 0.6% in 2023, the group made up of Central America and Mexico will expand by 2%, and the Caribbean without Guyana will grow by 3.5%. These rates are all lower than last year. Importantly, however, with Guyana's growth included, the Caribbean's economic growth is pegged at 9.1%. ECLAC offered some explanations for the lower growth rates expected this year. In Caribbean economies specifically, it said the growth rate is largely attributed to inflation, which is simply the rate of increase of prices over a period of time. Because of the increased cost of goods, ECLAC said consumption of goods and the cost to produce those goods will be negatively affected. Those factors have a negative impact on the competitiveness of exports, both of goods as well as tourism, a major revenue earner for Caribbean countries. Even so, Guyana's nascent oil and gas economy and spin-off business opportunities continue to contribute to the country's high levels of economic growth. Guyana's 37.2% growth rate is the highest in the region. The second highest growth rate is expected in Antigua and Barbuda at 9.5%, then in the Dominican Republic at 4.6%, and Panama also 4.6%. ECLAC also warned that additional global challenges, such as the Ukraine-Russia crisis, could further impact countries' growth rates.
Well, still in the Caribbean region, but on the other end of the spectrum, the demand for clothing, food and other essentials remains high as hundreds of residents of Bermuda struggle to make ends meet during the ongoing cost of living crisis. A community action group is playing its part through its spring giveaway event. More in this Bermuda Broadcasting report.
The Grateful Bread estimates there are hundreds of residents in need, including the homeless population, who rely on the giveaways for assistance. Volunteer Anna Pereira says steep increases in the cost of food is causing hardship for many people.
Is there more demand from our middle class for these type of giveaways as we spend more on groceries?
Well, everyone's impacted by inflation, but you can argue that there's a certain demographic that feels it more. Everyone has to pay the same amount for, a bottle of orange juice. So it is very, very helpful for folks that are on a budget, that are impacted by rising costs of living.
While global inflation is predicted to drop this year, Ms. Pereira says post-pandemic economic conditions continue to strain many families.
Increases in the price of oil don't really bode well for Bermuda as we import everything. So the cost of food, so anything that we can do to help kind of, with the burden that families have is helpful. And it's personally rewarding.
In 2017, the Grateful Bread was formed by Canterbury Law Director Juliana Snelling and Executive Assistant Susie Outerbridge. They don't solicit public funds, but instead support other charities. Volunteer Tamara Hunter says the community is keen to support their work.
We also have individuals providing, gift certificates to us to go and shop. So I just went out shopping to the supermarket and I bought $3,000 worth of toiletries for individuals to be given out during this giveaway event. We also had Pro Shop donate a large amount of football gear, and that's going to be donated on the Saturday event to schools that are in need.
A team of helpers has collected everything from housewares and clothing to toiletries and children's toys. Ms. Hunter explains how she's motivated by the personal satisfaction of helping others.
I love seeing people come, like whether it's an individual, a couple, a family, a senior, or like a teenager, just coming and rummaging through the bins and getting that perfect interview outfit, or grabbing diapers for their kid, or a car seat.
Well, St. Lucia has embarked on a series of activities to commemorate the Year of the Youth. Minister for Youth and Development there says the young leaders are looking forward to the highly anticipated Youth Parliament. HTS reports.
Youth-led action for sustainable and inclusive development. That is the commitment of the Commonwealth, which has designated 2023 as the Year of the Youth. St. Lucia's Minister for Youth Development and Sports, Kenson Casimir, says that the Year of the Youth activities will prevail despite initial setbacks.
For anybody to indicate that nothing has happened with youth, it either speaks to somebody who's not paying attention to young people, or somebody who's just being disingenuous about the realities of what's happening. The Youth Economy Agency, there's a huge collaboration between the Youth Economy Agency and the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. We've mentioned the fact that we're going to be semi-professionalizing football, and that is just not a football initiative, because we bring in young persons who are into photography, into videography, into other aspects of sport, physiotherapy, into the actual thrust to do things.
Excitement for the much-anticipated Youth Parliament is building as young leaders will debate pertinent issues in the House of Assembly in a mock sitting of Parliament.
Youth Parliament is coming up very soon, so I'm very excited about what young people will have to see for Youth Parliament. And the whole thrust is to have more frequent youth parliaments. So we'll see later on in the year another youth parliament, as opposed to in times past we only have one youth parliament. We believe that we need to give young people the opportunity to speak more, and so this government is definitely giving them that opportunity.
And despite the naysayers who are not convinced of the groundwork and activities to commemorate the Year of the Youth, Casimir believes the outcome of the events, engagements, and impact will prove them wrong.
We've heard some statements by the opposition indicating that nothing has gone on with you. First and foremost, it's absolutely fallacious for anybody who's a former Prime Minister to not understand the way things actually materialize.
As we move on, let's take a quick look at your sports. Barbados Olympian Sade Williams is showing impressive early outdoor season form as she won the women's 400 meters A final at the Velocity Fest 13 track and field meet in Kingston, Jamaica over the weekend. Competing for her MVP club, Williams was clocked at 51.48 seconds.
So it's a clean start this time around for the women's A final. This is the 400 meters. Williams has gained on Jenkins on her outside. I say gained, no, on the heels, a shoulder to shoulder on the back stretch. Now she's passing Jenkins and has Anderson in her sights. Anderson is in lane 7. On the inside, however, of Williams is Russell, hitting the 200 meters mark. It is the young lady from Barbados, Williams. Now she's trying to carry the field in the home stretch, but Janine Russell had something to say. Will it be loud or will it be low? Russell on the inside, but Sade Williams still maintaining the top spot with about 60 meters to go. She passes the McDonald Tunnel. It is Shade Williams holding off the challenge of Geneve Russell. Williams will take it. Stops the clock of 51.84 seconds for Shade Williams of MVP.
What an amazing run. Time to look at the weather briefly before we move on. The present barometric pressure is 1016.6 millibars. It's 23.9 degrees Celsius. Humidity stands at 94%. And the winds are at 4 kilometers per hour. That's your weather for today. You can listen out for an update in the newscast, Newsday at 12 p.m. or listen out to our sister stations for the world at 1, 98.1 The One, 94.7 FM and 100.7 FM. That is this morning's Morning Report. I'm Tisha Hines. Morning Barbados is next.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
It's Monday, April 24th. So good to have you in company. It's time for another edition of Morning Barbados. Another wonderful Monday. Good to have you with us. So I'm Tisha Hines and I'll be here until 8 o'clock this morning sharing with you. We have lots and lots to pack into the next few minutes because it's going to go by like it's a few minutes. So I'm hoping you had a great weekend and you are up and roaring and ready for the wonderful week ahead because there's a lot to be thankful for and there certainly is lots and lots happening. So it is Vaccination Week. This is Regional Health Awareness Week, celebrated every year during the last week of April to promote equity and access to vaccinations. So from April 22nd to 29th, St. Kitts and Nevis, together with other countries and territories across the region, are going to be looking at Vaccination Week in the Americas. We're going to share more about that with you right here on Morning Barbados. And for that, Dr. Clyde Cave, a pediatrician, and Juliet Serrano, senior health sister, they're going to come through and talk to us about it. Plus, we are reaching out once again today. Last week, we had Dr. Kenneth Connell in to look at some very general topics, long-haul COVID being one of them. And today, he's back to talk about the role and the impact of outreach by the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Imam Beckles, president of the Medical Students Association, will also be on to share more about that with us. Plus, in our segment Next Chapter, Natalie Harvey, who is an author, will be here to speak with us about her book, a very interesting book written, and it brings you some words of wisdom. So we look forward to sharing more about that with you. Plus, we are remembering Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Today, April 24th, marks the anniversary of Baba's death. And we will be sharing more on that with you, particularly if you've never heard of Sri Sathya Sai Baba and his legacy. We're going to make sure that we share that information with you today. We're also reminding you of the Mom's Proud Moment promotion, which we are carrying on right now with Morning Barbados and more certainly CBC, is where we're inviting you and giving you an opportunity to take a video of some of those proud moments, anywhere from 60 seconds to 90 seconds, and you have up until the 25th to share the video with us for a chance to win. All right, that's it. That's all you have to do. And then we have a period of voting after we put the videos that you sent to us on our social media pages. And of course, the videos with the most likes will go forward to the final. The grand prize will be lunch for mom and 4 guests at Courtyard by Marriott Hotel on Mother's Day. So you definitely want to be a part of that. So stick around and find out how you can get involved. More importantly, go follow us online and see what we have to offer. You might be able to check out a few ideas. You might see a few things that will give you some great ideas of how you can get involved with that competition. But we're going to get started a little bit earlier. A segment that's a favorite of yours and mine, Life, Love and Hope. That is coming up with Dr. Denise Charles, educator, academic, author, life and relationship coach. She will be sharing with us about what women mean when they say they want security in relationships. I don't even know myself, so I'm looking forward to that. But before we get there, we are speaking with Valencia Gittins-Carter, who is a customer liaison officer, on the topic of the Barbados Medicinal Cannabis Licensing Authority, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture. And it launched its first edition of the official industry magazine on April 20th. So let's say a very special good morning to Mrs. Gittins-Carter. Welcome to Morning Barbados.
Good morning, Tisha. How are you? Good morning,
I'm doing
Barbados.
well, thank you. Good morning. Good to have you with us. And thanks for waking up so early to share.
Yeah. Yes, I really had to.
All right, so congratulations on the official launch of the official industry magazine. It's been a long time in coming, so talk to me about what it took to get to this place.
Okay, so the BMCLA has been working on this magazine with obviously expert Shlomo Brooklyn. He is an expert in the cannabis industry. Our communications team, led by Tracy Moore, they were the ones to dedicate most of the time putting together this document. It's really geared towards investors, applicants, and all those persons who are interested in getting into the industry. It bears, it bears local knowledge on the cannabis plant in particular. It involves processing for the industry as well as pest management.
All right, that's pretty wide-ranging. Talk to us about how and where we can get our hands on this magazine.
The page Can Magazine, it's available on our website, www.bmcla.bb. Once you go on there, you can access a copy of it by paying $10 Barbados, $5 US through the Easy Pay platform. But you have to go onto our website first.
All right. Now I know that this is meant to be a place where you connect licensees, update them, share information, maybe connect support services, applicants, and things like that. So talk to us about the types of people that you're targeting with the information that's shared on the pages.
Okay, so ideally, we would want our applicants, and they were the ones who really took us to this journey. So the applicants, the potential investors, the licensees, small farmers, on the value chain. So to soil testing and all those kinds of persons interested in the industry and in the cannabis environment.
Ultimately, what's the aim of putting out this magazine? I know you mentioned that a number of stakeholders and people who might be interested can benefit from the information therein, but ultimately, what are you hoping to accomplish by putting this magazine out at this time?
We're hoping to get some more education around the cannabis plant, how to cultivate, the good best practices, what not to do, what to do. The magazine is 72 pages of well worth reading content. So I don't want to say too much about it. I want persons to go to the magazine and to buy the magazine and to see for themselves the wealth of information that was put in there by the expert, one of the experts for the industry.
I'm sure that you've been able to reach out to a number of people. So what's the general feedback that you're getting at this time from industry professionals and the layperson alike about the launching of this magazine?
So persons are very grateful to have that kind of education around, saying that it's a new and emerging industry. We have had a lot of kudos for having the magazine out, for having the magazine out at such a low cost, just $5 US, $10 Barbados. Would you want me to go on further, Keisha?
Of course, you know that's absolutely fine. Usually when we're talking about cannabis, as we've seen with the rollout of similar magazines and programs and initiatives and the decriminalization in other parts of the world, other jurisdictions, we've seen a little bit of pushback. So we've talked about the positives and how people are feeling generally, those who are stakeholders in the industry. But what are you hearing on the ground from other people who might be still a little tentative in their thoughts about cannabis and even launching a cannabis magazine on island?
So even as recent as on Friday, we had the religious community reaching out and wanting to be a little bit more educated on the medicinal cannabis, how we're going, how it's moving. Obviously, it goes from one extreme to the next. So some persons are calling for recreational. Some people just want it to stay where it was before. But for the most part of it, people are embracing our end. Of course, is the commercial end. We have lots of interest there, and each and every day we try to do something more in terms of educating and more aware of what is happening with our industry and what is indeed involved in our industry.
All right. How often can we look forward to a new edition of the Beige Can, or is it Beige and Cannabis Magazine?
It's Beige Can Cannabis Magazine.
Okay.
So we are going to have a yearly edition.
All right, so this one it covers that's why it's 71 pages.
72.
Don't let me miss out one page. 72 pages. That's why it's 72 pages. But I can imagine it's comprehensive, and that's why I asked you, how often we're going to be seeing this magazine, so I can understand the length of it. And definitely, it's a great buy for reference. I know there are a lot of Barbadians who have many, many questions about how they can get involved. And a lot of people are apprehensive about whether the launch of this new industry will be inclusive in terms of just the average man. So I'm hoping that the magazine will be able to quell those fears, share more information, and make them more comfortable with what's happening in the industry.
Yes, and you said you're spot on. It's very inclusive. We want all those small farmers who have an interest to reach out. We have a concierge desk. We want everyone, big players, small players, medium-sized players, to get involved. There's room for everyone. Reach out to the the concierge desk at clo.bmcla.bb. We are available on call 246-832-0975, as well as WhatsApp. So there's no reason not to contact us.
All right, so let's talk now about the contributors. I know you mentioned a few names. It has been launched under the Ministry of Agriculture. I would imagine for some agricultural officers, this probably has been a steep learning curve, because once we started talking about cannabis and the industry, it has moved pretty quickly in the establishment of an authority. And now to be at the place where we are discussing licensees, where we have a magazine that is out, to be able to get on board with that, it must have taken a lot of preparation and just getting quickly into what's happening. So talk to us about how the contributors were selected, and some of the contributors that we are seeing putting the information into the magazine.
So Tisha, I would love to talk to you fully about that. I'm sorry, I can't speak to you on all of the contributors, but it would have been from the area of pesticides, from cannabis cultivation, processing. It would have been internal, of course. It goes all the way out to customs involvement. It is very, very, very broad. Forensics, it's very, very, very broad. So it was a full effort by the Ministry of Agriculture's personnel, along with the BMCLA, in getting all of the components together to make this one magazine.
All right, definitely sounds very, very comprehensive. And I wouldn't want to put you in a rough spot on this Monday morning. So I appreciate the information shared. And I appreciate you saying, don't take our word for it. Go check the magazine out for yourself.
Definitely.
I definitely think it will be a good read. I myself will delve into the pages, and hopefully we can have you guys back so we can have a discussion on what's contained therein without giving away too much, as we encourage people to get on board and most certainly purchase the magazine. 72 pages of everything you need to know, an industry magazine covering updates, cultivation, processing, and other areas of the industry. So remind us of where we can go to get our downloads.
Okay, so you're going to the BMCLA's website at www.bmcla.bb. You're going to pay for it through the EasyPay platform, which is accessible once you get onto the website as well. You can call us, our numbers or at our desk, 246-421-4141, but particularly for the CLO, it is 246-832-0975. That's 246-832-0975. And also we're available on email at clo.bmcla.bb.
All right, thank you so much, Valencia Gittins-Carter, Customer Liaison Officer, for coming through and sharing with us this morning. Just a reminder, you can't just jump on and pay on the EasyPay platform, okay? You're going to have to make sure you submit your banking information, get your validation from your specific bank and things like that, so you are validated on the EasyPay platform, so you can then go on and download the magazine and pay through that platform. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having us, CBMCLA. Thanks you. Have a great day.
And you, thank you. Have a wonderful day to you and everybody over at the ministry. And they're amazing. I had occasion to do some years ago, Gel in Agriculture, a program with them. And it's amazing, the programs offered by the Ministry of Agriculture. So many of them we don't hear about, we don't know about, but hopefully we'll be able to form some type of partnership and be able to share more about those programs with you. All right, time is swiftly moving on. It's 13 minutes now before the 7 o'clock hour. At the top of the hour, we're going to update you on the news. But coming up next, something spicy for you. We're talking love and life with Dr. Denise Charles and what women want. Who knows anyway? Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, good morning to you wherever you are in the world. Thanks for tuning in to Morning Barbados. Whether you're online or watching on TV8, good to have you in company, and it's wonderful to be with you on this Monday morning. All right, so back with us today, we have Dr. Denise Charles, who's an educator, academic, and author, life and relationship coach, and of course, she is a wonderful partner to Morning Barbados. Good morning to you, and welcome.
Good morning, Tisha. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Always great to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
All right, so we have a bit of a controversial topic, but I mean, what's life if you're not talking about a little bit of controversy every now and then, yes? All right, so
yes, that's right.
here we are. We hear a lot of women these days talking about needing security in their relationships. And we want to explore really what that means. What are women talking about when they talk about wanting security on their relationships? On the flip side of that, we hear a lot of women saying, I don't need a partner, I don't need a man for certain things. So, a little shaky. You know, what are we talking about? Decode it.
Okay, Tisha. Actually, I think we're talking maybe about a variety of things when we make that statement, because not all women are the same. Not all women are in the same place emotionally, psychologically, financially even. So I think when women say they want security in a relationship, it may be important to drill down to find out what exactly an individual woman may mean. I think if we speak about it generally, when I hear this, women saying that they want to feel a sense of security in their relationship, I am thinking immediately along the lines of commitment. I think women want to feel that their partner is committed to them. A woman wants to feel that the man that she's attached to, the man that she's involved with, the man that she's married to, that this man is committed to her for the long haul. He's in it for the long haul. He's not just passing by, you know, he's not just having fun, but he really loves her. He really has her best interests at heart. He really wants to connect with her at a deeper level. He wants to covenant with her. He wants to promise to her in a very real and meaningful way. And I think this is something that is at the heart of a lot of us as human beings. We just want to feel desired. We want to feel important. We want to feel that we are valued by the person that we love and by the person that says that he or he loves us. So when women say they want to feel a sense of security, I think immediately they're speaking about commitment. They want to feel that this man is committed to them come what may. Now, when we break that down, for some women, they may want to have a ring on it. They want to know that they're married. They want to know that, because marriage, even though some people think that marriage is out of style, it's really not that out of style. You know, people still dream of having that solid commitment, that covenant, that ring, that is a promise, that is an outward show that you have committed to this person at the highest level. And I think that is what some women want. Some women may just say, well, you just need to say it. You just need to let me know and show by your actions that you're committed to me, that I don't have to worry about you being in the space of another woman or being in the space of other women, because I know that we have a solid thing going. We have a committed relationship. So, I mean, this thing goes far and wide. We might speak about financial security. Some women, yes, they are doing it on their own and doing it quite well, and they don't need a man to provide them with money or so, but they still want to know that they have that support. Not everyone is in the same financial position. A man may find a woman with children and she has a lot of financial responsibilities, and she wants to feel that the man who's with her is somebody who's going to help her. They're going to walk life together. They're going to walk through life together. They're going to make financial decisions together, and together they'll pool their resources so that life can be better for both of them. So when you say that, I think we need to drill down and find out what each individual woman may mean, and then there may be a mixture of all of those for some women as well.
Absolutely. I want to go back to the traditional meaning of the word security when we think about it. You know, women who might want security in terms of financial security with the partner that they're with, and how that is received, because often we find that that's frowned upon. Your thoughts on women who insist that, you know, they need financial security?
I didn't hear you just now.
Okay,
Tisha,
well,
I missed some of what you said just now. We saw the lost connection.
All right, so let's go back to women who might want security and from the financial perspective, and usually that's frowned upon. These days, you know, you talked about putting a ring on it, but women who are like that, they tend to call them gold diggers and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on women who insist that they want financial security in the man that they're committing to?
Let's get real. We can't go through life without money. No matter how much we love someone, no matter how much we love ourselves, we need money to live. We need money to enjoy life. We need money just to simply survive. And I'm not saying that a woman should necessarily look to a man for all of her financial resources. But if you're walking life together with someone, the two of you are in the same house, you're married, you're serious committed partners, obviously there's going to be the idea and the understanding that you share financial resources. What is the sense of being with someone if everything you're going to think about and do when it comes to money is all about you? You know, it has to be a partnership. It has to go both ways. It has to be a case of where you share your resources, you do projects together, whether it's looking for a home, whether it's improving the home you're in, whether it's looking after each other's health or well-being in whatever way. It's about being together in every respect. That is what a relationship is really about. That's what a partnership is really about. And yes, we know that some relationships have serious financial challenges because people want to be selfish with their money. They want that, yes, I'll share every other part of you, but I won't share my money with you. And to me, that's unthinkable if you really love someone and you're committed to them. And I think if you're having a serious problem with respect to opening your financial resources to the person that you say you love, then I always say there's a lot more going on there that needs to be investigated. And I'm not saying you foolishly throw your money away or that you allow someone else to control the resources you may have built up over time. I'm not saying any of that. There must be accountability, but there must also be transparency. And I'm saying that if you love someone, there's going to be that willingness to be with them in every facet of their life, including their finances. So yes, there are women who may just be looking for a man to prop them up financially. That is not what I'm talking about. And men have to be wary and understand who they're with and what that woman is all about and what her motives are. That's another discussion. But once the two of you are in that relationship and you understand where you are each coming from, then I think you're going to operate from a space where you understand that this is just another part of life that we do together. You know, we are intimate. We may be physically intimate. We are emotionally intimate. You know, we do other things together. We have hobbies that we share. We go out. We do things together. Why not share our finances as well? Why not be transparent and open about what we have in the bank, you know, so that we understand where we're headed together and we can make the decisions that are suited for us as a couple and for us as a family.
Absolutely. I want to say that a lot of the women that I speak with, women that I know, when they talk about security in a relationship, they're speaking about just what you talked about at the beginning. You know, knowing and understanding and feeling like their partner is there for them through anything.
That's right.
And they're more than just an option. So it's not just like lead pipe songs. Sometimes it is all the time.
You know, that's right. All the time.
And I think for most women, that's what security means.
I agree with you, and it's a conversation that women must have with the man in their lives. If you have been with someone for a while, you know, but you are not sure where you stand, you're not sure if you are his number one, you're not sure that he's committed to you for the long haul, and that is what you want, then you are in a sort of a ticklish situation if you're not sure. I think this is something that you need to solidify even before you go all the way in terms of giving yourself to someone. You need to know exactly that what you want from this relationship, what your expectations are exactly what his are. Because sometimes a man might see you in a particular way. He sees you as just his sometime girl. You know, you're just there to pad. You know, you're just there for a time. You're there to take up space. You're there to meet his needs, but you're not in it for, you know, he doesn't see you as that permanent life partner. And if that's what you're looking for, then you have to navigate those waters very carefully in terms of what you expose him to with yourself and in terms of making sure that what you want from that relationship is what he's actually giving you.
All right, we need to move this out of this segment because it just goes too quickly, and we can just go on with the discussion, but love what you said today. Definitely shed some light, and it is great food for thought in moving forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Denise Charles, educator, academic, author, life and relationship coach, talking to us today about what women mean when they say they want and need security in their relationships. Thank you.
Thank you, Tisha. Have a great day.
And you. It's heading up to the 7 o'clock hour. Coming up, we give you an update on the news. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Maxback Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7:01, time for an update of the news. The new Transit Authority Amendment Act will be led in Parliament tomorrow. Word of this from Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Works and Water Resources, Santia Bradshaw, at the retirement function for Paul Frank, who retired from the Alliance Owners of Public Transport after 41 years. The Deputy Prime Minister says she will be seeking his input as government moves forward with regulations to guide public transport and that sector.
Regrettable that it has taken this long to be able to get us to this point. But I am certainly very pleased that we are here today and we are in a position that on Tuesday of this week I will be able to lead the debate in relation to the Transport Authority Amendment Act, which will also then have the passage of the regulations which will follow, and to begin with the associations a series of discussions as to the communication with the public as to how we roll out this particular campaign.
The Transport Minister says it is regrettable that it has taken so long for the regulation to reach this stage, but it's the forerunner to the establishment of a mass transit authority for Barbados.
The Cabinet of Barbados, after many years, but also many discussions with the associations, have now been able to settle on the regulations. And I want to thank the associations for the input, because I know that we could not have gotten to this point without the input of all of you. And I just want to say we really appreciate that we've been able to actually reach this moment. Why is this important? It is important because for many years, when the Transport Authority was established and the legislation was put in place to set up the Transport Authority, there were no regulations.
Barbados has inscribed 2 significant cultural elements of the UNESCO Intangible listing. The announcement from Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantel Monroe-Knight, who was speaking at the launch of the National Intangible Heritage Committee Public Awareness Campaign just last evening.
We will be inscribing road tennis and the Barbados Landship on the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage list. And this is critical, and I don't know if people are not applauding for that. Please, thank you very much. We have much to share and to give to the world. As small as we are, we have much to share and to give. We are elevating road tennis and the landship to be inscribed because we understand the value that we have. Very often we have the things that we ourselves take them for granted. Yeah? But these are things that we have to be able, one, to claim ownership of, and that is very, very, very critical, because very often people will come and see the value of what we have and then claim it.
As we look across the region, the demand for clothing, food and other essentials remains high as hundreds of residents of Bermuda struggle to make ends meet during the ongoing cost of living crisis there. A community action group is playing its part through its spring giveaway event. Bermuda Broadcasting reports.
The Grateful Bread estimates there are hundreds of residents in need, including the homeless population, who rely on the giveaways for assistance. Volunteer Anna Pereira says steep increases in the cost of food is causing hardship for many people.
Is there more demand from our middle class for these type of giveaways as we spend more on groceries?
Well, everyone's impacted by inflation, but you can argue that there's a certain demographic that feels it more. Everyone has to pay the same amount for, a bottle of orange juice. So it is very, very helpful for folks that are on a budget, that are impacted by rising costs of living.
While global inflation is predicted to drop this year, Ms. Pereira says post-pandemic economic conditions continue to strain many families.
Increases in the price of oil don't really bode well for Bermuda as we import everything. So the cost of food, so anything that we can do to help kind of, with the burden that families have is helpful, and it's personally rewarding.
In 2017, the Grateful Bread was formed by Canterbury Law Director Juliana Snelling and Executive Assistant Susie Outerbridge. They don't solicit public funds, but instead support other charities. Volunteer Tamara Hunter says the community is keen to support their work.
We also have individuals providing, gift certificates to us to go and shop. So I just went out shopping to the supermart and I bought a $3,000 worth of toiletries for individuals to be given out during this giveaway event. We also had Pro Shop donate a large amount of football gear, and that's going to be donated on the Saturday event to schools that are in need.
A team of helpers has collected everything from housewares and clothing to toiletries and children's toys. Ms. Hunter explains how she's motivated by the personal satisfaction of helping others.
I love seeing people come, like whether it's an individual, a couple, a family, a senior, or like a teenager just coming and rummaging through the bins and getting that perfect interview outfit, or grabbing diapers for their kid, or a car seat.
Well, a look at sports before we wrap up this edition. Barbados Olympian Sade Williams is showing impressive early outdoor season form as she won the women's 400 meters A final at the Velocity Fest 13 track and field meet in Kingston, Jamaica over the weekend. Competing for her MVB club, Williams was clocked at 51.48 seconds.
So it's a clean start this time around for the women's A final. This is the 400 meters. Williams has gained on Jenkins on her outside. I say gained now on the heels, a shoulder to shoulder on the back stretch. Now she's passing Jenkins and has Anderson in her sights. Anderson is in lane 7. On the inside, however, of Williams is Russell, hitting the 200 meters mark. It is the young lady from Barbados, Williams. Now she's trying to carry the field in the home stretch, but Janine Russell had something to say. Will it be loud or will it be low? Russell on the inside, but Sade Williams still maintaining the top spot with about 60 meters to go. She passes the McDonald Tunnel. It is Sade Williams holding off the challenge of Janine Russell. Williams will take it. Stops the clock of 51.84 seconds for Sade Williams of MVP.
And that's it for an update of news. Newsday comes up at 12 p.m. where you get a further update, followed by The World at 1 via our radio services network on 100.7 FM, 98.1 and 94.7 FM.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you. our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
10 minutes after 7 o'clock, it's another wonderful morning in beautiful Barbados. I know we had some showers over the weekend, some heavy rains yesterday, but it's needed, especially hearing coming out of last week that, we know we have a shortage of water, even though we're in an island surrounded by water. So the directive is out there. I'm not bringing tails out of school, but I still saw a few people out washing their cars with the hoses, washing down the driveways. That's a no-no. All right, and we're going to talk about that as the week wears on. But right now, we are speaking with Dr. Kenneth Connell, Deputy Dean, Recruitment and Outreach with the Faculty of Medical Sciences, President of the Medical Students Association, Imam Beckles as well. They're sharing with us this morning as we continue to take a look at the Faculty of Medical Sciences and the role and impact of outreach by the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. So Tisha, thanks for having us. As I said to you last week, we would be back, but I did not warn you that we would be back right from our location here at the Clinical Skills Building here on James Lane next to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. So welcome to our home.
It's wonderful to see you there, and often we talk about what's happening in medical facilities. We have a lot of you come on and talk, but it's wonderful to be able to see what you do and how you do what you do. So let's talk about the experiences first of a medical student. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Connell. What's it like being a medical student?
So I was a medical student almost 25 years ago, so it was quite different. So I'm going to pass that one over to Iman, who's right next to me and who's currently in her 4th year of medical school. So she's the authentic medical student.
Good stuff.
Good morning. So what is it like being a medical student? It's difficult, but it is very enjoyable. I think the content, when you're truly interested in it, you feel very passionate about it. And realistically, the interactions that you have with your colleagues, your peers, you're going through this journey together, it's very stimulating, and I think the journey on a whole is quite fantastic.
Iman, why did you choose medicine? Why did you choose to be a medical student?
I chose it because I wanted to feel as though I was making a difference. And there are lots of different ways to make a difference. But for me, I fell in love with the sciences, I fell in love with biology, I fell in love with the human body and anatomy. And to me, medicine just made sense.
All right, so since you're so far out of being a student, Dr. Connell, we're going to have to let you put on your hat. Let you put on your hat as a teacher. Talk to me about the transition from being a doctor who is practicing as compared to being in a facility like that one and teaching, or are they kind of hand in glove and go together?
Well, let me just say, when I was a medical student at St. Augustine more than 2 decades ago, I swore the one career I would never take up is teaching, because I was camera shy and I did not want to do public speaking. And lo and behold, the rest is history. So teaching, interestingly, relies a lot on your own experience as a student, the things you liked, and you weren't really sure why you particularly liked a particular class or even a lecturer. But there is a science or a pedagogy behind teaching, And that was interesting to explore here at the university, for which all faculty members have to do formal training in teaching and learning as part of their initial contracts. So teaching has kind of grown on me. I have to say it's the most exciting part of my career right now, interacting with students and keeping on my toes, because they do keep me on my toes. And the simulation laboratory is a new area of teaching where we have simulated patients. Students can come in and practice on them, but they still get an authentic experience because, of course, the faculty is well located in our teaching hospital through our MOU with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, right next door across at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. But that's just one pillar. And so during this open week, for instance, the Faculty of Medical Sciences is celebrating all of our pillars of engagement. Teaching is one of them that you brought up, Tisha. There is also research, and across the street behind me is the Chronic Disease Research Center, which is involved in lots of groundbreaking research, including research on glaucoma, the non-communicable diseases, as well as you would have seen our participation in COVID-19 and how we provided data for the nation. We're also, did you know it, involved in clinical care of patients right next door. So full-time faculty members are next door at the hospital, seeing patients on a daily basis, engaging in the emergency rooms, in operating theaters, in clinics. We're very much a university that's part of the community and really embedded in the health system.
Oh, that's wonderful. And speaking about being embedded in the community, let's talk about the students' outreach programs.
Okay, so the MSA, or the Medical Students Association, also has very similar pillars, one of them being outreach. So actually, most recently, we partnered with the Ministry of Health and BAMP, the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, to assist in testing for syphilis and prostate antigen to keep up with health in the community. So those are the kinds of things that we extend to the medical students, as well as the other students in the faculty in other degrees, because we don't just do medicine in the Faculty of Medical Sciences. So another initiative we have is something called Teddy Bear Clinic, and that's where we gather volunteers and we go out into primary schools and we speak to very young children about what it's like to go to the doctor's offices, to kind of help them get over the fear that they have of visiting the doctors. And it's one of the most loved initiatives that the MSA does among the students. But we also offer some opportunities to get, the research done and student academic support as well.
Yeah. So our students really mirror the activities that faculty are engaged in, and that's what we hope for, and that's what we want. This week, Open Week, of course, Tisha, we are celebrating with our host, our parent university, the KFIL campus, celebrating 60 years, and our university that's celebrating 75 years. So this is a special week of activity for us, and we have lots of things planned for the public, both online and in person.
That's wonderful. So before we get into talking about the Open Week and all the things that you're going to be sharing, I hear a heartbeat. Is there a patient in there? Can you share a little bit about what's happening? Since you're in the space, let's see what's going on.
Right, so there is better than patient. There is, a broken remote, but there's also a monitor behind me, and you can see some live, what we might call tracings. Also, you've got a heartbeat monitoring, you've got ECG monitoring, oxygen saturation. And right here, you have what is very high-tech, high-fidelity mannequin, which can grimace the pain. You can feel a pulse. You can hear heart sounds. You can hear all various, and the students can practice various procedures. So our resuscitant isn't your typical just jump on the chest and resuscitate, but it's known as a high-fidelity mannequin, so it authenticates the clinical experience. But let me just emphasize, as authentic as this room may seem, the most important learning experience for our students is right next door. Speaking to real patients like myself and yourself and getting clinical histories from them, and also examining and touching real patients so that we can connect and get that kind of authentic learning experience. The simulation lab here at the Errol Walden building is called the Cato Burton Simulation Lab. It's brand new, and it really brings in a higher tier of teaching and learning for our students.
Iman, talk to us about what it is like transitioning from an area like this where you're using a simulated instance or a simulated situation and mannequins like that one, to where you're in an environment where you're operating with real patients like Dr. Connell mentioned?
Right, so great question. So it can be a little bit challenging because, of course, you're now introducing variables that you weren't before. So patients have fears and emotions, and some of them will have reactions to these activities being completed by medical students. But here in the clinical skills building, we are taught how to deal with those variables as well. So it is a little nerve-wracking, is what I will say. But, you know, we're well trained, and when it comes down to it, it still gets done. It's the same processes, it's the same set of information being applied. So it's manageable.
How are you able to balance the studies? I know they say you're 4 years in. Most of us grimace at the idea of a 2-year program, and here you are, medical students, and you're 4 years in and you're still a medical student, but you're also balancing that with being president of the Medical Students Association. So, you know, what's it like striking that balance? Are you still able to still get out and have a little fun, relax, or is medical school as intense as we think it is?
So my answer is no, medical school is not as intense as you think it is. And a lot of times people ask, how do you balance your extracurricular activities? But I think the statement that I'll say is, in order to get through medical school, you need to have extracurricular activities. You have to make time. And, you know, there are 24 hours in a day, but it's not that you are living hour to hour, day to day, and you know, you're tired. You are living, and you spend a set amount of time in school, you spend a set amount of time studying outside of school, but you also have to spend a set of time going to your parties, hanging out with your friends, drinking your coffee, going to the gym, whatever it is. You know, we make time. And the time management skill is something that you really start to hone in first year. And by the time you're in fourth year, fifth year, and as a doctor as well, you have got that skill down pat. So it's a lot simpler than it sounds, and it comes very naturally to most of us.
Well, I'll take your word for it. But 4 years in, that's a long time. Dr. Connell, I know that you have an open week this week, so let's delve into the activities that will be happening once again so everyone knows what's coming up.
Sure. So firstly, let me say that visit any of our sites, whether you visit the Cave campus to get information, whether you visit our online site to get information about our many courses. And I know that colleagues this week will be on Mornin Barbados every morning speaking about undergraduate courses, postgraduate courses, and of course our clinical service. Then later this week on Wednesday, we have an online session for 5th and 6th formers on Wednesday afternoon called an anatomy taster. Now, you do not want to miss the anatomy taster, Tisha, because this is a way of experiencing an anatomy lab for anatomy models, and no one will see you if you collapse or faint from seeing anything. So the anatomy taster is really meant to engage our 6th form students who are thinking about medicine to see what it's like in our space. And then on Thursday, well, we're really the FMS in the community. As you know, the clinical skills building is right next door to the hospital and the environment around us. We want to get as many people to come into our site for free screening. We will be screening for blood pressure, blood sugar. We never do anything without our health partners. And so we have partnerships coming in from the Barbados Hypertension and Diabetes Association, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and hopefully also the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So we will all be on site in a tent right outside this building. You may hear some music, not too loud of course, but you may hear some music to get you there. We will have information about all of our programs, and you can come out and have your blood pressure check or have your blood sugar check and get to find out more what's happening. We are an Indigenous medical school. We are here. We're not just here in a community, but we're very much a part of our community, and we take pleasure in serving.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I look forward to speaking with you and hearing more about the Faculty of Medical Sciences throughout the week, where, like you mentioned, we definitely will be sharing. We look forward to sharing right here on Morning Barbados. Thank you so much, Imam Beckles, President of the Medical Students Association, and Dr. Kenneth Connell, Deputy Dean, Recruitment and Outreach. Thank you, and all the best for your week of activities, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you and have a healthy week.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you'd note that today the National Nutrition Policy is coming on stream. It comes on stream today, but it really starts tomorrow because tomorrow is school. School starts tomorrow. So, you know, a bit of a heavy focus on what's happening health-wise, but it's really to get us into that frame of mind where we are thinking about our health and the health of our children and by extension, the health of our nation. Hey, time is quickly moving by. When we come back, it's the next chapter. We have author Natalie, who's in with us, sharing about her book that's giving you some words of wisdom. Find out more after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 27 minutes after 7 o'clock. There are very few of us who wake up this early. There are actually some people who are still lying in bed, enjoying whether it's vacation or just a little R&R. Kudos to you if you're celebrating today. Have a good one. It's wonderful that you're able to relax if you're already out to work. Good morning to you as well. Good to have you in company. Now, we promised that we were going to continue the conversation about vaccinations. It's been quite some time since we've spent any time on vaccinations outside of anything to do with COVID-19. And now we are looking at Vaccination Week in the Americas. So let me welcome Dr. Clyde Cave, who is a pediatrician, and Juliet Serrano, who is Senior Health Sister, to the program this morning as we look toward Vaccination Week and exactly what that means for us here in Barbados and those of us down the region. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's start with you, Dr. K. First of all, let's talk about the history of Vaccination Week in the Americas.
You know, one of the biggest interventions and one of the most taken for granted interventions is vaccination. And it's a big deal and different from medicine in some ways in that it's preventative. And it's had a major impact on our society. And like things that are so pervasive, sometimes we take them for granted. and there have been waxes and wanes in the enthusiasm, shall we say, for various vaccinations by parents and by patients over time. So Vaccination Week in the Americas is an idea to focus again, remind people of the value of what we have, maybe how to access, and offer a chance to catch up on immunizations that may have lapsed.
We have a real history of vaccinations and immunizations almost on a cyclical basis, or pretty much on a cyclical basis here in Barbados and across the region. But speaking of what we know, I mean, from the babies all the way through to the primary levels, we have parents lining up to really vaccinate their children and so on. In recent times, though, we've seen a little bit of pushback from some parents, whether it's because of what they've heard, new information that has come to the fore, and so on. So let's talk now, Ms. Serrano, about the benefits of vaccinations and immunizations.
Okay, good morning, and thanks for having me. In relation to the benefits of vaccines and immunization, I mean, they're far-reaching. As we all know, vaccine saves lives. And our aim, where vaccines are concerned, is to reduce mortality and morbidity. That simply means death and illness, and also to prevent disabilities. I remember growing up as a child. Most of you might not be aware of these vaccine preventable diseases because many of you may not have seen them in your lifetime. But I could speak from my experience. I remember growing up in my community, there were at least 2 young ladies who had permanent disabilities as a result of contracting polio. Also, measles was very prevalent. I came from a household of 6 children, and I remember outside playing with my friends saying, everyone at home has measles. And mumps, these things were more or less like the common cold. So we have really come a long way where our vaccines and immunizations are concerned. Also, based on my experience, I worked pediatric unit at hospital for many years. And this is prior to the introduction of the Haemophilus influenza vaccine. The incidence of children, coming in and being diagnosed with meningitis was significant. And I'm sure Dr. Cave can attest to this. After we introduced that particular vaccine, Haemophilus influenza, the incidence of this type of illness decreased significantly. Also, when we introduced the pneumococcus vaccine, we introduced that in 2007. And again, the incidence, dropped significantly. So vaccines, they're a life-saving device. And we would like to encourage everyone to come on and be vaccinated.
Wow. Okay, that brings us to the theme and objectives of this year's campaign for Vaccination Week. So let's talk about that now, Dr. Cave, because the theme is something of get up to date.
We know the world changed a lot during COVID in some obvious ways and some not so obvious ways. One of the obvious ways was with restrictions and lack of crowding in public clinics and places like that. So obviously with that kind of disruption, there would have been some shots that were either rescheduled and then forgotten or just forgotten as not the highest priority. We really need to move it back to where we were, because part of the benefit of immunization is not just individual, it's to the community. We heard a lot about herd community as one of the things that would help protect against COVID. This is true for many of the vaccinations, in fact, all of the ones that are transmissible. Maybe not ones like tetanus that depend on an individual injury, but certainly things like measles, mumps, German measles, and chickenpox. So there's this opportunity now for us to relook at it and get up to date, but also for people who have heard nebulous things, maybe interpreted as bad things or not so desirable things about vaccines, who may never have really given it a lot of thought, but think, okay, well, that's something of the past. This is a time to say it is definitely not a thing of the past. It's going to be, I think, a recurrent focus in our future out of necessity. We're seeing the emergence of diseases that we thought were controlled by vaccination and of very low risk. Measles is one example. And that's increasing in North America and other countries after we thought we had sort of eradicated it. So time to get up to date, rethink, re-immunize. Don't be caught unawares by having a lapse in the immunizations, especially the immunizations of children who can be at times the most vulnerable to many of these diseases.
I know in this part of the world, some drugs are not even that much of a factor because of the number of people who are afraid of needles. So let's talk now, take a look now at the misinformation and sometimes outright disinformation that exists that really fuels this fear in a number of people about getting vaccinations, whether for themselves or for their little ones. Ms. Serrano, talk to me about how you as senior health sister, as the people who often are the ones charged with administering these vaccinations, how you deal with these challenges.
Okay, what I can say based on my experience, we have a long-standing history of immunizations here in Barbados. Our clients have that confidence and trust in us. As was mentioned, our immunization rates have dropped somewhat, but it is not only here in Barbados. This is a worldwide thing. I mean, during COVID, during the lockdowns, persons would have weighed their risks and decided to stay at home, but we were offering vaccines, all along, right? However, we were offering vaccines all along. However, I wouldn't say that persons are somewhat reluctant. I was asked a question recently in relation to vaccine hesitancy. I wouldn't say our population is hesitant where the vaccines are concerned. Right now, the public health nurses, they're out in the communities, daycare centers, primary schools, and we are more or less checking our immunization records for those children. And we have identified that, yes, we have a lot of defaulters out there, but the children are coming in. As long as we, identify that they have been defaulted, we refer them to the polyclinics and they're coming and they're being updated with their vaccines.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear that people are still getting out and getting their vaccines. I know for Barbadians, walking with their green card was kind of like a badge of honor. People wanted to make sure that they did have the green cards ready, the children had their vaccinations, and they were well taken care of. So let's talk now about what will be happening for Vaccination Week. Started on the 22nd, goes through to the 29th. Dr. Cave, what are some of the activities that we can look out for?
Well, a lot of the polyclinics have open clinic days. It varies in rotation. So, check with your community polyclinic, the one that's nearest to you, if you wish to go and have a look and see what's done and discuss face-to-face any of the concerns you might have. There's still a remaining professional Zoom for people who are involved actively as physicians, nurses, and other healthcare workers in administering vaccinations. It's always good to have a refresher, not on how to give vaccines. We know that, and we have a very strong, well-established national schedule of when vaccines should be given. But there are constantly changes in new vaccines that are becoming more prevalent and useful. I think our biggest success story recently was the HPV vaccine given at entry into secondary school, which is showing a major impact in the decrease in cervical pathology, cervical cancers, and dysplasias or abnormal pap smears with no side effects. And in fact, it's been so effective that we've been able to decrease from 2 sticks to 1 stick, which is always a popular thing. You mentioned earlier the fear of injections. I think there's sometimes we have to say, hey, wait, let me think this out, not just emotionally react to something. Yes, a lot of people do not like a stick, but I think they would like being sick and in hospital, or their children being sick in hospital, a whole lot less. You know, measles, the argument you hear, it's not worth the stick. Who last heard of anybody dying of measles? Well, measles is on the increase in the United States. We are lucky in that we haven't faced that problem right now, but as a tourist economy, it's inevitable. And measles is one of the most contagious diseases that we know, possibly more contagious, or at least in the same kind of realm as COVID. And you know, if every 1,000 children who catch measles, 1 will or 2 will develop encephalitis, which is an infection of the brain that can result in deafness, brain damage, long-term morbidity, and about 2 of them will actually die. So measles can be a lethal disease. And if you're a numbers person or want to run it through your newest artificial intelligence friend, the risk of dying in a car accident, if you're involved in one in the United States, is 1 in 100. And nobody doesn't get into a car. You take all the precautions to minimize the risk. The risk is less, but still significant for many of these immunizable diseases. And the thing is, you never really know. Even if something is rare, but that rare occurrence happens to you or your child, then it is a very significant event. And most of all, it's preventable. That's why vaccination is so different to some of the other prescriptions that we offer, is it prevents the illness and all the consequences that can follow.
Now, I know over the last few years, because of the focus on COVID-19 and all the protocols and so on, a lot of people fell behind in getting their vaccines because a lot of that was put on the back burner. In this week of vaccinations, I most certainly know you can't catch up with anything, but is there a concerted effort? Is there a plan in place to catch up on the vaccines that were missed over the last few years?
As Sister Serrano said, the public health nurses are going into the schools, which is one, catchment time, just by reminding the parents to look at their green book, in which the schedule has a whole page and it's easily laid out. And if there are any questions, then this is an opportunity to ask, either contacting your polyclinic or showing up in person just to have a look around. It has a lot of far-reaching effects if you take a young child to a polyclinic when a health visit is not involved with, maybe some discomfort from an injection, to see that medicine is part of your community, and to also educate that you have a personal responsibility to look after yourself. It's not a passive kind of exercise. So I think this is an excellent opportunity, focused on immunizations right now, but on health in general, that we involve people in the community, owning their healthcare center and getting to know the people who have to keep them healthy.
Ms. Serrano, final word as to why people should come out and make sure they stay up to date on their vaccinations. Final word from you.
Yes, I would like to say that vaccine saves lives. If as a parent you are not sure whether or not your child is updated with their vaccines, you can come out to us during our open days, or you can visit your nearest polyclinic.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Cave and Juliet Serrano, for sharing with us. And I wish you all the best on this 21st annual Vaccination Week in the Americas. Get up to date is the theme, and it's under the hashtag Each Vaccine Counts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Morning Barbados. We'll be right back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Maxpack.
Time for the next chapter, where we share some amazing books from not only here in Barbados and the region, but indeed across the world. Wonderful that we can reach out and find great authors who are doing fantastic work in putting new and very important material out. Like this next book we're going to share with you that comes from author Natalie Harvey, and she herself has a very interesting story to share. So let's welcome you first of all to Morning Barbados and congratulate you on the release of this volume of this particular book that came out in 2023, January of 2023. So just a few months ago. Tell me about how you were able to accomplish this, even with all that was going on through the pandemic.
Good morning, Tisha. Wow, this book, I published it, it's self-published. It came out January 8th of this year, and it took me a very long time to even go back and forth in deciding if I even wanted to publish. Writing has been something that I've done for, I guess, almost all of my life. It's been a part of me. It's been a part of my family. My dad, he writes as well. So it was more of it was time to do it. I felt I had a story to tell. You know, my journey is unique to a lot of people, and you never know who out there may be going through the same thing that you're going through. So I felt now was the time to go ahead and put this book out there. And it's called Natalia's Words of Wisdom, Finding My Way, Volume 1. And it's a creative writing piece of a numerous amount of things. It talks about losing someone close to you, raising children, your culture, just things that we go through, battling sickness, things that we go through in everyday life.
Now, I know that for you, Natalie, you have a bit of all of the above in your testimony, from battling non-Hodgkin's lymphoma as a survivor. So, congratulations to you on being able to work through that. But more importantly, you now are able to share what you have learned. How were you able to turn this into a positive thing and get to the place where you felt like I can share my experiences with the world? I know often this is a very, very private thing, and people have to take some time before they can indeed share.
For me, it was learning that I was able to understand who I was as a person, as a woman. And I come from a line of strong women, strong people. So for me, it was just, you know what? It's time. I have a story, and there's other women that I knew that went through similar things, and it was just like, you know what? Someone needs to be the voice, and I felt it was time for me to be that voice, to encourage other people that it's okay to go through certain things and talk about it. You have a support system. It's always easy. You have someone to lean on. It's not always easy, but if someone else knows your struggle, it's easier to relate in how to deal with certain things.
All right, well, now let's address the big white elephant in the room. You obviously sound like a Barbadian, but you're a first generation Barbadian. So let's talk a little bit about that. You also mentioned, when we were going through that list of things, you also talked about your background. So I know that as Caribbean people, our cultural influences and nuances are so impactful, especially on first and second generations of immigrants outside of the region, that even your story is so unique in terms of battling, kind of like a battle of two different cultures, where U.S. culture is so different from our culture. And I suppose that's why we have so many little insulated Caribbean communities. And you would hear of Caribbean people who move away, but they end up marrying Caribbean people anyway. So talk to me about how your Barbadian parentage has influenced you, and by extension, this book.
So for me, it's interesting because I am first generation American. And I was raised in a multi-generational household. I was raised with both sets of my grandparents, my parents, my aunts, uncles, cousins. And, it's funny, even when I was in school, grade school and high school, whenever I spoke, you always heard a twang, because growing up in such a heavily Bajan household, you have no choice but to pick up certain nuances and just the culture itself. So when I would go to school, here we say comfortable, but for me, I always have to pronounce my words, comfortable. So it carries me, for me, saying comfortable sounds weird. Comfortable, it sounds better. But even spelling certain words, you have harbor, favor. You hear the U. I had to learn not to spell it in school with the U. But ironically enough, I also went to a elementary school that was predominantly West Indian. So and the majority of us in that school were first generation Americans from all different Caribbean islands. But for me, my Bajan heritage is what also got me to where I am now. Because anybody that knows me will tell you, she doesn't sound like an American, but she is an American. And I think that's the uniqueness of it for me.
Yeah, I think that first generation Barbadian Americans or first generation Caribbeans, a new word that has popped up, who are immigrant children of Caribbean immigrants. You have to claim your home, because in a number of ways, I find that a lot of you, by the second generation, sometimes it's so far removed, because especially if they don't come back home or there's no connection to back home. But I find the first generation ones, you're always the ones who are asking for sweetbreads and fish cakes because, like you said, you grew up in these multi-generational homes. So, everything of Barbados is there, and you feel like, you're so much a part of it.
For me, I come back often. I was there last year. I was in Barbados for about 6 weeks and I came back. January of last year. But even I have 2 sons who are now young adults. And even for them, I instilled in them, you have to learn your culture. It's a part of who you are. You know, no matter where you go, you are who you are. And for me, I tell everybody, I am a Barbadian American and I'm proud of it. And even in my book, I wrote about how that carried me through, how that is such a big part of who I am and what that means to me being this person that I am today.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tell us where we can get your book. I know it is self-published. So yes. Where can we get the book so that we can share in some of these words of wisdom that are guided by your background and your experiences?
So you can purchase the book. It's on Amazon.com. You can put my name, Natalie P. Harvey, or even the title of the book, and it will pop right up. For those that are Apple iPhone users, if you have Apple iBook, same thing. You can type the name, the title of the book in, and it'll pop up. I also am currently working on a podcast that will start May 28th. And you'll be able to watch that on Facebook and on YouTube. I have a website. Yeah, there goes the flyer. And I also have a website, which is nataliaswordsofwisdom.org. You can also reach me there. And also my social media handles. I have a Facebook, which is also the title of the book, Natalia's Words of Wisdom. And also Instagram page, which is Natalia_word_of_wisdom. So that's how you can reach me. You can purchase the book. The links are also on my handles and my social media handles, and also on my website as well.
Natalia's Words of Wisdom. Thank you so much, Natalie Harvey, for sharing with us. And you must promise to come back when that podcast is launched so that we can check in on what's happening and how it's going. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Morning Barbados. We come on back to wrap things up after this. Stay with me.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
Good morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now, today, April 24th, marks the anniversary of the death of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Let's take a look at the legacy he left behind.
He provided fresh drinking water to over 1,000 villages. The poorest of the poor, the forgotten millions, now know that he is there to care for them. He built temples of healing, bringing modern medicine to those who needed it most. He built schools. He built universities. He built character in generations of young men and women. He is Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. His life is his message.
We are definitely acknowledging all of his work and his legacy. Coming up, Mom's Proud Moment promotion. Now, you had from the 21st, it runs until the 25th to get those 60-second or up to 90-second submissions in that time period. So make sure you get them in for a chance at the grand prize of Mama and 4 guests heading off to Courtyard by Marriott Hotel on Mother's Day. Also, thank you for all your entries to the Big Bajan Bake Off. Now, coming up tomorrow on Morning Barbados, we continue our discussions with the Faculty of Medical Sciences and the Faculty of Law and their open weeks over at UWI Cave Hill campus. Plus, Ambassador Komishong is in for conversations on CARICOM. The Lions Club of Christchurch West, they're having a fundraising celebrity cricket match. We'll tell you more about that and a whole lot more on tomorrow's edition of Morning Barbados. As you go through your day today, remember to wear your smile and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.